Welcome back, David.
Christopher, very good to see you. Are you well?
Oh, I think we're well, yes. Carrying on as we do.
Yes, that's good. That's good.
Are you well rested after your lovely sunny break? Swimming in the sea?
It was. I didn't go in the sea once because of the wound on my leg still isn't allowing me to do so. And Jane wasn't able to swim in the sea this year because she's still not good. But she did manage to do a few times in the pool, which was very nice. Temperature was very good, on average about 35 to 37 degrees, No rain in the sky. It was difficult to have to do it, but somebody had to.
Somebody has to endure these nice warm temperatures, don't they?
Yeah. Did lots of reading. I managed to read 3.5 books, which was good.
Wow, that's quite a lot.
Yeah. They're very small books, actually.
What, big print?
Yeah, well, one of the books I did read, dear viewer, you may be interested. I don't know whether anybody have read the various series books of Harold Fry. You've read The Wonderful Adventure of Harold Fry, etc. Well, she's written the end of the trilogy. It's only a very small book, but he brings it all nicely all back round, and Mrs. Fry features as opposed to Harold. And so I read that. That was pretty good. Then I read a book by a good American author who won the Times Literary Award, called O. William. That was interesting. A different style to what I'm used to, but I enjoyed that. And then I read one I found in Waterstones, which is with a 1950s whodunit murder type of thing, which was highly recommended. And I thought, well, I'll give it a go. Can't lose anything because $8.99, and it was really good. Yeah, you had to get used to the fact that it was 1950s style writing and language to a degree. But once you got your mind into it, it was good. I enjoyed it. And then the last book, which I'm halfway through, but he's so funny. And if you've never read it, Chris, and dear viewer, you may feel the same. Do go and get a copy from Waterstones. It's a book by Richard Coles, Murder Before Evensong.
Oh, right, yeah.
And all the things that you and I have been talking about off air, and we won't bore you, viewer, but it a lot to do with gravestones and improving churches. It's just stunning the way he talks about it, about how all this, is going on in the background. I haven't got to the second murder yet, but there we are. Go and read it. Richard Coles, Reverend Richard Coles. He has got a second book out, but this is the first one I'm reading, Murder Before Evensong. It's really interesting and comical, but serious. So there we are. But we've got other serious things to do today, haven't we? So just you and I, the two women, are obviously recovering from double workings whilst I've been away. And just left you, Chris, because you were on holiday when I went away, because it was just Debs and me. Debs and I, you probably realise, Debs, God bless her, managed to actually work out how we could do it on our own and to send it to Harry.
Yay!
She did. She's really good. And then Jo came back for one, and she helped us, which was great fun. And all in all, I think we got there. And we managed to keep the whole thing going over the summer.
Yeah, we did miss 1 week.
That's okay. We can miss 1 week.
But we can miss 1 week.
We can miss
well,
1
my
week.
reading over the summer was a bit over holiday was a little bit different to yours.
Don't tell me you were reading The Theological Advantage of Chalcedony and Reformation or something.
No, I actually read. I was reading a book, Prisoners of Geography by Tim Marshall.
It's good.
Which I was chatting to my son about because he's a geography teacher, and he says, he gives it to his A-level students to read.
No, good.
So it was quite ended up being quite a highbrow book.
Yeah. Well, I've got one on my book. I bought two last year. One was a book about the mythology of early Britain, which was really excellent, really well written. I enjoyed that. And at the same time, if you bought one, you got one half price, again from Waterstones, I think. And it's hardback. It's a book about the Saxon times. And that's going to be the next, get back into a bit of heavy reading as opposed to whodunit and murder mystery. Yeah.
And then whilst we're reading, I suppose we ought to have a pause and get our reading focused.
Yeah, we got pause over here. Our dog's not speaking to us because she's just come back from the kennel. So she's lying here looking at me sternly with her paws. You notice that? with her paws outstretched. There we are. Pause.
So 1, 2, 3, 4 paws. A reading from Matthew chapter 21. When Jesus entered the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the people came to him as he was teaching and said, "By what authority are you doing these things? And who gave you this authority?" Jesus said to them, "I will also ask you one question. If you tell me the answer, then I will also tell you by what authority I do these things. Did the baptism of John come from heaven, or was it of human origin?" And they argued with one another. "If we say from heaven, he will say to us, 'Why then did you not believe him?' But if we say of human origin, we are afraid of the crowd, for all regard John as a prophet." So they answered Jesus, "We do not know." And he said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I am doing these things. What do you think? A man had 2 sons. He went to the first and said, 'Son, go and work in the vineyard today.' He answered, 'I will not.' But later he changed his mind and went. The father went to the second and said the same, and he answered, 'I go, sir.' But he did not go. Which of the 2 did the will of his father?" They said, "The first." Jesus said to them, "Truly I tell you, the tax collectors and the prostitutes are going into the kingdom of God ahead of you. But John came to you in the way of righteousness, and you did not believe him. But the tax collectors and the prostitutes believed him. And even after you saw it, you did not change your minds and believe him." There we go. By what authority did Jesus do what he did?
Well, I guess the answer is, being God, he had all the authority he needed, really. He didn't need to prove anything, did he? And this I think is part of the real theological difficulty of understanding that Jesus is God while still being Son at the same time.
Yeah, can't we even go back a step further?
We could.
What is a God? Who is a God? What's the point of a God?
A lot of people will have that conversation with us, Chris. I'm sure you've had it perhaps in your point and ponder moment. I'm sure you've discussed that in the past up in the pub in Askerswell you go to for that.
No, the Three Horseshoes at Powerstock at the moment.
Powerstock, it is. Yeah, that's something. If you live in the Powerstock area and you happen to watch this, go and meet Chris when he has his point and ponder over whatever the subject may be of the week. But what is a God? I mean, that's a good question. You know, we understand God as being the ultimate being of our salvation in the world, don't we, as Christians?
Yeah, well, I go back and say, the actual creator of the world, the planets, the solar system, the Milky Way, and of you and me, and dear viewer, whoever created us to live, to breathe, to think, to feel, I don't think could have happened just by chance. There must be something that created. That then has a definition of God. And many religions will say, actually, we worship the God that created earth, the heaven and earth.
Yeah.
And therefore, we have this creator who created us. coming to this earth and showing us how to live. And that's what Jesus did. It was actually, this is how you should live, this is what you should do. And interesting that therefore his authority is as the ultimate creator of all.
I mean, that's this whole idea of who created and how the world was created, of course, will bother scientists forever, won't it?
I don't think it does.
You don't.
I always think the scientists are very good at telling us what happened and when it happened and how it happened, but they can't tell us why it happened.
That's not because I remember hearing on a program a long time ago now, and it's stuck in my mind as perhaps a piece of useless information, although it could be useful, I don't know, that the real thing that bothers the scientists is the fact that they can't get beyond about 0.2 of a second before the Big Bang. Yeah. They're stuck. So there's no proof of was it a human or a being, i.e., God, as you've talked about and explained. Was it God who pressed a button, so to speak, to start it off, or the scientists, I'm sure, would love to prove that some meter of gas in this whatever it was before it was all formed suddenly exploded, and off we went, and lots of whirling planets and things suddenly started appearing. And I have the real I can't say difficulty, but I really do try to work out, are we the only planet with actual life on it? Out in this vast area we never see and can't see beyond. There's got to be something somewhere else. Do you think? I don't know.
Well, it'd be interesting. I mean, there's this guy, Professor Brian Cox.
The
astrophysicist on the television.
Yeah.
I actually once watched a podcast of his, and his comment was, science is remarkably silent on the presence or absence of God.
Yeah.
Science works out light travels in a straight line. We hail Einstein, light travels at 3.08 times 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. He worked out the speed of light.
Chris.
But who decided in the first place, I'm going to create light and it will travel at this speed?
Yeah.
We're just working out what. We're not creating the speed of light.
Mm-hmm. And that's again,
it's really gone off subject today.
Yeah, but that I was just going to say, in a way of bringing perhaps us back more towards the theological as opposed to the scientific. But that part of believing in something, because we've said in many occasions before, believing in something we have no ultimate proof about. That's what you're saying about scientists. They have this great fascination, this great understanding, this, for some of them, great belief in what they understand of the scientific process, but they've no ultimate proof for some of it. They have to accept that things happen, which happen. Why does light travel in a straight line? I'm so impressed that you managed all that Einstein thing, 0 point whatever it was.
Yeah, you might find one viewer will say I got my numbers wrong.
But you sounded very impressive and authoritative over it, Chris. That's what matters.
That's the secret. That's what we do every Sunday.
And that's exactly it, isn't it? Because that story of the sons and the vineyard and what authority does Jesus have? Well, as a Christian, we believe that he is the ultimate authority over our lives, don't we?
Yeah.
That what he offers us as a loving father or loving mother or loving being is important to the way we live our lives, and how we should be encouraging others to want to live their lives as well. We're in a series, aren't we? Although I've been away for a few of them, but we're in a kind of series of these parables of this kind of form over the last few weeks, aren't we? Of the vineyard and so on.
Well, that's it. I mean, but staying on this authority a bit. How do we know that Jesus had the authority to say and do what he did? He came and he worked miracles. He fed people. He raised Lazarus from the dead. He did all these things. And what authority do you do that by? Well, by me. And they were trying to trap him, but he was a bit cleverer, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
The other one I thought was quite interesting is, there's that getting near the end. Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, the tax collectors, who were a despised group of people, and the prostitutes are going to go into the kingdom of heaven, kingdom of God, ahead of you. For John came in the way of righteousness, and you did not believe. But the tax collectors and the prostitutes believed. Even after you saw it, you didn't change your minds."
Mm.
So they're asking what authority, and he's saying you're missing the point.
Yep.
Maybe that's our task for this week, is don't miss the point.
But that's kind of a reverse way of doing things for Jesus. He's still stating the Jewish law is this, but this is the new way, isn't he?
Yeah. And, we can get so het up on, to be a Christian, you got to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And you've got to do this, or you've got to burn incense, or you mustn't burn incense. You've got to have guitars, or you've got to have organ, or you've got to have a choir, or you've got to wear this colour clothes, or whatever it is that we say. We've both got our black shirts on for a reason. But actually, ultimately, we do those for ourselves to help us in our relationship, not because of God demands it. We're trusting God for everything that He's given us.
Absolutely. And this idea of who is God, when you bear in mind that many other traditions have an understanding of God as well. It was interesting while we were out on holiday, just bring you back there, Chris, that every night at about 8 o'clock, or about 10 to 8, the music would be blaring away from the poolside bar, etc. But then up would go the call to prayer from the local mosque.
Yeah.
And although I don't think many of them were true followers or regular attenders of the mosque, they turned the music off.
Did they?
Just for a few minutes, as a mark of respect for that important thing. And there was a young girl who was working at the desk who was studying at Istanbul University, but had just come back from a placement in Liverpool, I think she told me. She'd been on 3 months before to improve her English, and she'd been to Liverpool. No jokes about Liverpool and English, but she was saying to me she couldn't understand the difference between what Christians believe and what Muslims and others believe about God, and why do we believe different? But I wasn't in the mood for really getting a deep theological discussion with her, and all I could say, and what I said to her simply was, well, we both believe in one God, but we believe in different ways of reaching Him.
Yeah.
And she said that's the first and the most simplest way anybody has ever explained whatever. She said, because I've always confused. So if God is God, why do we need all the? I said, well, we don't need them, but for some, for various reasons and traditions, we feel we can't all agree on the way to reach Him. But God is God regardless of what tradition you follow or what your particular type of faith is. And I think that's the key thing is that the authority of God, if you are a believer, is sacrosanct. It's the central point. And that God has authority over all things. How you understand that He's done and how you understand it's delivered. We may all have concerns as to the way that certain people misuse that understanding of God as being the ultimate force and authority. And in the way we carry out living our lives. But as Christians, we try to adhere to the fact that God is the ultimate person that we live and follow and try to obey and carry out what He teaches us and tells us.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of this passage today, isn't it?
It is. It is.
That is, whoever acknowledges that authority and that there is a God beyond us is who Jesus is speaking to.
Yeah.
And our job, isn't it, to accept Jesus and God as our creators.
Yeah.
And therefore, we can then be like the tax collectors and the prostitutes.
Yeah.
And I suppose the message is be like a prostitute and not like a priest.
I'm not going to get into that kind of conversation, Chris. I can cause no problems between myself and the bishop without you leading me astray. Without you leading me astray. If you're watching, please notice that Reverend Glask was trying to lead me astray, but I wasn't falling for it at any point. Yes.
Anyway, that should have made you all smile, shouldn't it?
It should have done. But tax collectors aren't bad as well. Let's be honest. We've got to be honest about it. We need tax collectors as well, so long as they do it fairly and squarely.
Which our government, of course, does.
Again, I'm not getting into that kind of debate, Chris, but thank you very much for trying to mislead me again.
Oh, I'll keep trying, don't you worry.
Well, dear viewer, thank you for watching this latest episode. We hope that all is well with you. And, well, it's only 92 days to Christmas, Chris.
Oh, no, don't remind me of that.
92 days to Christmas, and lots to go on.
Oh, we've lost David. Therefore, it must be time to nearly log off. We've lost David's voice, but he's still there. He's still nodding. So, dear viewer, I hope you've enjoyed today's Rev Chat. Thank you for finding us on wherever it is that you found us. YouTube.
Middle of Harvest was Chris. We had a bit of a breakdown on sound there, I noticed.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah. Are you still in the middle of Harvest festivals? Have you done all of yours yet?
No, I've done 2. I think I've got 5 to go.
Yeah. Well, I haven't done any yet. I'm very grateful to Joe and the team who started them off while I was on holiday. I've got a few coming up in the next few weeks. So that's the first thing to get through. And then, of course, we soon pass on to All Souls Tide. I belong to All Souls and All Saints and all that. And then Remembrance Sunday crops up, doesn't it?
Busy time of year.
And then we're all geared towards the big occasion, which is the lighting up of the Christmas tree in most people's houses on the 31st of October.
That late?
Yeah, true. Could be earlier. It'd be interesting, viewer, to let us know when you see your first Christmas decorations in somebody's house. Forget the shops. I know that Hamleys in London have had elves and Father Christmas is parading outside for over a week now. But let us know when you see your first Christmas decoration or bauble in somebody's house. We'd be delighted to know. And Chris will go around and bless them for us.
Thank you very much for listening.
You can follow us on, well, you know where to find us anyway. But there we are. And thanks, Harry, for all that you do for continuing to make sure this gets to the mass population.
Right. Bye.
Bye-bye.